Ever scroll through Instagram and see those perfect lives? Like, how do they do it? Especially when it comes to financial freedom, it feels like this big mystery sometimes, you know?
Totally. It's easy to get caught up in that whole being rich thing, but
Yeah.
what does that even mean for you, really?
Exactly. And that's what I love about this deep dive we're getting into Alex Costa's take. You know him, right? The style videos.
Yeah.
But his stuff on financial freedom, it really clicked for me. It's
Yeah.
practical, it's personalized, which makes sense given his own background. I mean, the guy's an immigrant who built his success from scratch.
Right. And what's refreshing is he's not just throwing out the same old work hard, save money stuff. It's about defining what financial freedom actually looks like for you
Yeah.
individually, which is huge.
Yeah, that why behind it all, not just hitting some magic number in your bank account, but the life you want, the feeling, honestly.
He's got this story. It's so relatable. He was working at Google, 6 figures, the dream job, right? But even then, he still felt like, I want more. Shows how easy it is to get stuck chasing those random goals.
Okay, so how do we avoid that trap? How do we figure out what financial freedom really means for us?
So Costa uses this analogy, comparing financial freedom in Brazil versus, say, New York City. He's like, $5,000 a month in Brazil, you're living large.
Yeah.
New York, you're barely scraping by.
It's true. It's that whole saying, one person's spending is another person's income. What's a ton of money? One place means nothing somewhere else.
Exactly. It's all relative. That's why he wants us to think beyond just the numbers. What's the lifestyle we want? And what's the real cost of living for that, wherever we are, or even want to be?
That's when it gets interesting. It's not just the amount of money. It's if that amount actually works for the life you want in that specific place.
Right, which is where he introduces this thing he calls the life framework.
Framework. Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So it stands for location, individual lifestyle, financial career goals, and then end goals. And it's meant to be a tool to help you actually define your version of financial freedom, not just some generic idea.
Okay, I can already see how those pieces connect. Breakdown time, I guess? Location seems pretty straightforward.
It is, yeah. It's about being real, about the cost of living in your dream spot. You love that big city energy, be ready for the rent, and just, like, higher expenses in general. Or maybe you're all about that small town, peace and quiet, and hopefully cheaper rent.
Huh.
Costa even uses those rent examples just to really drive it home, like, okay, this is what it actually looks like financially.
It's crazy how much location plays into it. And not just rent. Think about it. Transportation, groceries, going out with friends.
You got it. Which brings us right to the I in life, individual lifestyle. What are those things you're not willing to give up? Those things that make life, like, really good? Are you hitting up every new restaurant? Do you need organic everything? Those trips to Europe. This is where it gets personal, right? No judgment, just figuring out what matters to you.
Yeah, designing a life you're actually stoked about, not chasing someone else's idea of successful.
Right on. And that connects directly to the next part, the F, financial and career goals.
Yeah.
You working towards early retirement. Fantasizing about being your own boss, that flexibility. Or maybe there's that passion project, calling your name.
It's easy to get stuck in that grind, head down, no real vision for the future.
Way too common. Costa's all about thinking about your dream work-life balance. Corporate ladder. Something creative, entrepreneurial. Having those goals clearly defined, that's how you make a financial plan that actually supports the life you want.
So we've got location, individual lifestyle, financial, and career goals. That brings us to end goals. This sounds big picture. What's Costa's take?
Zooming way out. What's your legacy? What impact do you want to have? Maybe it's family, generational wealth, right?
Yeah.
Or giving back, philanthropy, starting your own thing even.
I like that. Aligning your goals with something bigger, it's not just about stacking cash for no reason. It's about using it to actually make a difference. That's powerful.
Totally. And that purpose, that connection to your values, it keeps you going, through the whole journey.
Okay, so the life framework is awesome for figuring out the why, what your own personal financial freedom looks like. But what about the how? What does Costa actually recommend we do to get there?
He breaks it down into 3 things, and they build on everything we've been talking about. Mindset shift, budgeting, and then investing.
All right, mindset. I was always a little, skeptical when it's like, just think positive. Feels kind of simplistic sometimes.
I hear you. But with Costa, it's deeper than that. It's about developing this abundance mentality.
Okay, what does that mean?
Shifting your perspective. You know how sometimes it feels like there's never enough?
Yeah.
Scarcity, right. This is about flipping that, believing there are enough opportunities out there for you to achieve your goals.
Instead of focusing on what you don't have, is trusting you can create what you want.
Yes. And he talks about how it starts with your environment, who and what you surround yourself with. He talks about moving to the U.S., seeing all this wealth. But instead of being envious, he let it inspire him.
I love that. It's not, I'll never have that. It's okay if they can, maybe I can too.
Exactly. He's big on three things: consuming success stories, books, documentaries, whatever, surrounding yourself with ambitious people, and then gratitude.
Gratitude, that's not usually the first thing I associate with, financial success.
Right. Easy to dismiss, but studies actually show practicing gratitude,
Right.
it really can impact our well-being, even how we handle money. You appreciate what you've got while still going for more.
It's not about settling. It's more like seeing the abundance already there opens you up to even more possibilities.
Exactly. And that positive energy, it spills over, including into your finances.
Oh, so we've shifted that mindset, feeling good, gratitude, all that. What's next?
Now it's about actually putting things into action, right? Mindset's the start, but Costa's next step is budgeting.
Budgeting, I can already hear everyone groaning, haha. Not exactly the most exciting part of, financial freedom.
I know, right? But Costa has a good way of looking at it. He says it's not about restriction, it's actually about freedom.
Freedom. Okay, now you have to explain that one.
Think about it. When your budget's on point, you're not saying no all the time. You're choosing where your money goes so you can spend on things you care about without that guilt or worry. It's pretty freeing, I think.
True, true. He tells this story, it's funny, about saving for his first car, working at Domino's Pizza as a teenager.
Right. Even if we're not all craving a used Jetta these days, it proves the point. Even with a small income, consistent saving adds up. Those habits matter, starting young.
Makes sense. But saving alone isn't enough these days, right?
Wait.
Especially with, inflation and everything.
100%. Which brings us to Costa's third big thing: investing.
Yeah, investing. That can feel intimidating, For those of us who aren't exactly Wall Street experts, what does Costa say?
He's super open about how he found it intimidating too at first. Started small. Platforms like Robinhood, Coinbase.
Those are both pretty user-friendly, yeah. Good to know you don't need to be some kind of financial whiz to get started.
Nope. He's all about just taking that first step, learning along the way. And he emphasizes how starting early, even with just a little bit, it makes a huge difference long-term, compound interest and all that.
Like that saying, right? Best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, second best time is today.
Exactly. And with investing, Costa mostly talks about stocks, crypto, and then real estate.
So should we all be out there buying property now?
Whoa, hold on. Important to remember, Costa's not a financial advisor. He always says, do your own research, talk to a professional before making any big decisions.
Good point, good point. So, key takeaway when it comes to investing.
Costa's big on diversification, long-term thinking, and always keep learning. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, be patient, and never stop educating yourself about your finances.
This has been awesome. We covered so much, from figuring out what financial freedom even means to us to actually, taking action. Before we wrap up, any final thoughts?
Costa gives us this great framework for the external stuff, the steps, investments, all that. But I think as people listening start this journey, it's also important to be aware of any internal roadblocks, too.
What do you mean by internal roadblocks?
Those thoughts we have, like I'm bad with money or investing is just for rich people, fear of failure, that kind of thing. Those are just as real as any external challenge.
So true. It's not just about having the right tools, but also about what's going on in our own heads, right?
Exactly. So as you're taking those steps, checking off the boxes, remember to also check in with yourself. Work through those limiting beliefs that might be holding you back.
I love that. Financial freedom, it's a journey, not a destination. And we don't have to do it alone. Thanks so much for this awesome deep dive.
Happy to be here. Always a good chat.